results. That's the point of online dating, right? Like online dating, it's just like cold approach. It's efficient ease of usability. It's not like you get better results. You think you should, right? I'm gonna actually try to figure this out. Why do some guys do well? The student I'm working with, he was in the same situation as before, both in New York. I think was better looking in his pictures. Why is he doing better? Sometimes it's about your intention, your mindset, or how you act when it comes to your belief system. I don't like doing that when it comes to game because I'm very scientific. Christian, I believe in God. So I have that spiritual side, but at the same time, I believe in science. I want to see proof of something before I pay money for anything. I want to test out something because if there's no proof, I'm not going to do it. It's like a workout program, right? Even in working out, there has to be an efficiency to it. There has to be scientific data. Creatine is proved. I'm not going to take a drug just because someone used it once. You want to back it up by science, but then you also find out there's foo-foo science, right? Some of the stuff coming out, those false medical experts, people who graduated from legit medical schools were giving out false reports. Human beings have intentions behind it, personal intentions. You always want to make sure everything's evidence-based, but you want to still have that positive intention and the whole manifestation kind of stuff. You got to understand, like, you're going to have dry spells in online dating too. Always go back to cold approach if online dating is not working. Whatever you're going through in terms of dry spells, it happens. Online dating puts up this false perspective that I should always be getting results. That had never been the case for dating. I wish me and JT would be billionaires if we knew the secret code on consistently attracting, you know what I mean? Think about it, right? If Boston's having a marathon or some event where all the hot girls leaving during the worst months of like January and February, where there's like no holidays, it's coldest, but every girl is really hot, they go to Miami or something. There's timing, seasons of everything. That's why I was like plant the seed and stuff. So whatever you're going through, if things are drying out, it's just that case. But you also have to analyze it, right? So let's say pictures aren't like your pictures used to do well, but then last students keep those pictures for 2 years. You're like, yeah, something about the dating pictures not working again. I was like, oh, so have you upgraded at all? They're still using the same pictures from 2 years ago. That's where you have to be honest with yourself. Should I upgrade my stuff? You have to upgrade it. Like your iPhone. You don't have to upgrade every year, but let's say the new iPhone has a better camera. It's gonna help you with better content. Maybe if you're going to focus on content, you should get that camera. It's like your computer because it gets the job done. But let's say the new computer moves at 10x speed. Why wouldn't you get it? And I remember one of my coaches told me, he was an emotional intelligence coach. Is it going to help business? Because I was hesitating about buying a new Mac. But I'm like, I'm not a Photoshop person, but it's something that's fast that's going to help you in business. If you're not getting leads, figure out why. That's my job, right? In Boston. So you have to figure this out on your own. And this is hard because you want to also get reference experience from other students who are in Boston. Not everyone shares, especially the naturals. You have to sit back, take out emotions, be like, okay, what has changed? Sometimes the apps give you a lot of hot girls in the beginning and then take it out because you're one of the consistent payers. So they don't upgrade you because you're not paying extra. They give benefits to new people they want signing up. Then I say, okay, why you guys try to get on Raya? A lot of you guys are trying to just with Hinge, Bumble, Tinder. Knew right away he was getting dry. So now he has Raya. You see that? He worked on getting Raya. You have consistently been upgrading everything. In cold approach, if you're not getting results with cold approach, what do? You upgrade your cold approach skills. You don't keep doing the same approach. You actually have to change it up. But for some reason, online dating, you guys keep it the same. It's like you don't want to upgrade it. You're just like, oh, I'm gonna keep using the same pictures, same text messages. You guys start like figuring out, say, this is not working, this is working. Like right now, you did the pop thing. So maybe you notice, okay, one girl, pop work. Maybe you try it for 3 more of the girls. Let's say if the product gets responses back. Once I get them on Instagram, it seems like they all fall apart. So one of my students, like, he's getting hotter girls on his matches, but he can't convert them to dates. So I told him what happens. There's a bottleneck when I get them on Instagram. It seems like they're not interested because you're probably not getting them out fast enough. You're not marketing yourself consistently. Before online dating, you have to message girls every other day. You tell them the truth. You can't just be emotional. If you do that, you're never going to. Everything has to be strategically planned. You have to admit game's a skill. It's like any skill. When you play guitar, piano, if you're not good at can't play music, what do? You practice, but it's a deliberate practice. You don't just keep practicing the same thing. You're like, I can't play this key. So what do? You look at YouTube and you still can't play it. Then you hire someone to help. It's a skill, but for some reason, there's so much emotions attached to game that you don't think logically about it. You're like, there has to be a special way. No, it's like cold approach when you do openers. Is there a really perfect opener? To be honest, there isn't. There isn't. It's your vibe and approach a girl. Sometimes she's in a good mood, sometimes she's not. You know what I mean? All right, let's go on to the slides. When I first met you, I did feel there was a wall I had to adjust. So this is something I had to work on, and I'm still working on. I'm actually creating a separate course for human interaction. If a girl has a weak frame and I have a frame control, they usually a woman, is not being like sexist, but they can supplicate and they more submissive into your frame control if you have male, dominant male masculine frame. So if she likes you, she is very agreeable. It's kind of like ChatGPT. Like one thing about AI, and you have to be really careful AI, it's very agreeable. You have to call it out and start comparing it to other AIs. I didn't know you could do this, and I've been doing it. Hey, Claude and Gemini is doing this better than you and give me this prompts. How about you start doing yours like in a nice way, right? Because AI, they don't have emotions. But when you compare it, it seems like AI competes and tries to do better. It's funny how even robots based on competition will up their skill. You always have to be careful about getting feedback from people whose intentions aren't clear. This is something I struggle with. I lost who I thought was a really good friend. His behavior and identity changed when he achieved financial success. I met up with him in Bali to learn financial success because I realized I need to surround myself with people too. I want to get somewhere. But he treated me like he was higher than me. One thing I try to not to do with my clients is to come from a frame that I'm an expert in all aspects of life. So in game, I do need to have an expert frame because if I don't have that confidence, there's no respect. Even if I don't know something, I will tell you respectfully, hey, I don't know this, but I'm going to make sure I know this in the next. I struggled because I felt like he was questioning me and I was trying to be too much of a big bro instead of a professional coach. I should have just called him out and assertive, but I wanted to submit to his feelings. With men, once you try to tell them they're wrong or come from a prideful place, they'll shut down immediately. I realized you have to learn how to gain men. And this is something I had to do thorough, reflective, scientific based. You probably heard about that. Never eat alone, how to talk to anyone, all these business things where you see entrepreneurship and a social skill, right? A good way to see social skills is a Shark Tank. You see billionaires and millionaires, the alpha personalities, right? But one thing I realized is game makes you a bit too cocky because if you get really good at it, that's your prideful stick. I found out I was judging people when someone wealthy has something I don't, but they don't have a body, I judge them, especially if they think they're better. I don't care how rich you are, if you're not jacked. I have no respect for you in terms of, I don't think you're better than me. I still consider my equal. It's just you have more money than me. We got to a fight. I'm not saying I'm a good fighter, but if we push your money and help, right? As a soldier, if we go to war, you're one of those guys who's going to back out. Who are you behind all of them? So this is where my pride had to come down. So I had to genuinely see, am I the issue? And I lost two friends recently. One friend mentioned that I could have been a narcissist. And another friend always shuts down when I try to confront him. So I was like, am I a hard alpha guy trying to be bigger than them? I found out that nothing's wrong with them and nothing's wrong with me. We just have different value systems. But I found out I've been trying too hard to maintain this relationship because I felt like they weren't making an effort too. So I had to understand it's not my fault because it took me 2 weeks by myself. And I mentioned not dating because I usually have some girls and open about my life after discomfort. And these girls always agree with me. I realized my ego got fed by these girls too. So I had to take a break and constantly have a conversation with myself. What's going on? Are you a narcissist? Are you truly a guy who doesn't care about other people's opinions or emotions? And I realized, no, I actually do care. I'm the one reading books about it. I'm literally reading books, how to make anyone like me, right? I'm the one who's studying YouTube while these weren't doing that. So why am I making this effort to work on relationships while they just sit down and I have to change my behavior? That's when I choose my expectations of friendship and loyalty they don't have. One of his values was he paid for one of my courses, could have paid for the house. He said, hey, let me take care of it because he had money. I'll take care of the house. I was like, dude, appreciate you. I can still pay for it. But he paid for it. He believed that he had the right to kick me out without giving me time to look for a house. When I pay for someone's meal and they piss me off during the meal, I still pay. I don't say, throw out what you ate or give me the money I did. To me, that's very, I want to say bait up, but if I told you I was paying for it, I'm not going to act pay it back for me because you pissed me off. You know what I'm saying? I gave you a gift. I don't take stuff back. That's the funny thing about girls. They gotta go back on their word if they don't like you. In the military, you can't, just because you don't like someone, you can't fight next to them. If you're on the same team, you're both trying to fight the enemy. You don't say, I don't like you, bro. Go fight on your own. If you're a team member and hate him, you still have to fight together to kill the common enemy. That's the issue with men these days. We don't know how to get the job done, even though you don't like the person. Sometimes you have to work together for a common goal. That's how evolution happened. Getting rejected from a tribe with death, right? If you don't know how to work with a group, you'll literally get kicked out. That's why I told you never talk about game. Most people don't understand this concept. It becomes a little manipulative. Right now, I'm doing a course on how to read people intuitively. There's this guy teaching how to read minds in a way. And you don't have to believe in it, but there's military psychics, people who do cold reading really well because they studied it. Once people find out that you're actually reading them and using it, that's why if you ever do sales, you're going to realize is once a person find out that you're using a sales tactic and you made them emotional, they're going to get really butthurt, even though you're helping them. There's a quote that says, people don't want to know they're duped. They'd rather not face the truth. If we all think the world is round, to find out it's flat. People don't want to find out it's flat because their whole life story becomes fake. You have to see their side all the time, but make sure it's also beneficial to your values. So if this guy is not someone you will be friends with in the future, or he's not in a common goal, or he's not something you're going to work together with in the future, then you don't need to be friends with. Like, you guys are in the same group, you're trying to get a common goal. You as a leader, even though you're not considered a leader, have to take that step of figuring out how to reach the common goal. So that's what you do in dates. Let's be honest. In terms of pure benefits and logic, it's not beneficial for her to keep. She needs to take as much research from you before she gives up one of her most important resources to give a man. Just without contraception, this is really scientific, but that's how depth I got to this, right? A woman should not be giving away her body when there's so many risks involved. There's kids, STDs, everything could happen. There's more risk to a woman when she has a man. If you don't show empathy to a girl and understand her barriers, you're getting struggling because you're only seeing a benefit for you. You have to show them a benefit. That's why I go the emotional route. If you're not physically her type, you have to convince her otherwise. That's why Asian guys have to have no game, because most women outside of Asians don't see us as the ideal evolutionary candidate to make babies with us. They say it's average. Some girls don't say it's the biggest, but I know what they're saying. They say, no, it's still good size, but Asian girls go, oh, no, it's big. Everyone's different. So there has to be a win-win mentality. Be careful of what you think about yourself. Focus on your happiness. Be careful what advice you get. You can't be like, Captain Daniel said this, so I want to stop being friends. We're still a tribal group. If you're going to meet this MBA, you're going to continue with this guy. This is where social circle gains. If he has a higher status, you have to appease him. In human behavior, you can read books like 48 Laws of Power. Because 48 Laws of Power is the same guy who wrote The Art of Seduction, right? He talks about how never talk bad to the king. If you see certain individuals in the world who are secondhand to the king, they got more credibility. Winston Churchill, right? He was a submissive role to a queen, but he has more historical support for people than the queen during the whole fight during Hitler. No one talks about the queen and Hitler. They always talk about Churchill. The head of the government should be royalty, but you have to know your role and play that role well. That's what I hate about social media. I had to appease people just to get benefits from the group. I can't do that. I can't suck up to. Some people can. And sucking up is not a bad thing if you get all the benefits too. Imagine if you're second in command, right? It's like Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. Wozniak knew that him playing the second role was a better role for him because he didn't want the fame. He didn't want the accolades. He just wanted to do the engineering part, but he still made money and did his own thing. Jobs got all recognition. Or Thomas Edison versus Tesla. Tesla just got famous because of Elon Musk. But before then, Tesla was considered the loser because he didn't know how to market. Edison was a genius. He was a salesman. Tesla didn't know how to work with Edison. This is where guys get ego, right? When I see a guy who has a better game than me, I try to learn from him. But I throw out my ego for the mutual benefit of him and me. The blind spot depends on your goal. Feedback has to come from evidence. When I give you guys feedback, I try to come from genuine feedback of what happened in the set. Field reports are the best way for me to give you guys genuine feedback, because if I don't, it just comes from my emotional bias. Because maybe I'll give you feedback the way I give you might be different, right? Because I could tell the way I talk to you has changed since I met you. Even the way you talk, you call me coach now, right? The respect there. I don't want to piss you off. And I realize with some clients, I don't want to piss them off because I like them. But if you want to be genuine with them, you have to give them feedback that hurts. So if you genuinely feel like this is feedback you've been getting from multiple people, you have to ask yourself, what other parts of my life have I gotten this feedback? That's why I've been struggling with this too. As a leader, if they don't like me, you're not adding any benefit to my life. Why do I have to pick your opinion? But when I lost two really close friends on different tracks of life, I had to sit down and be like, am I an issue? I need my other friends. I didn't want to come from a frame where friends who don't know the full story would be on my side. So I had to sit back. What's the positive feedback you got? You have to understand where the tribe is coming from. Were those three guys friends before you came in? You know, I realized everything has to come at face value. When I started getting value and I started learning game, I also got kicked out of group. When I was actually submissive and I didn't have game, once I started learning game, it became a threat to possible their resources when it came to women. He became more confident. But you always work. This is your first time meeting these friends. And all of a sudden you get to spend more intimate time with them. And you realize these three guys, they're close with each other. And maybe these are the three cool guys that you wanted validation from. And you didn't get it. You have to ask yourself first, why do I want the validation from them? Why do I want to be friends with them? For me, I was always bullied by kids in high school. So I always wanted to be part of it. But then I realized the cool kids sometimes don't want you to be part of the group. It's like the rich guys sometimes don't want more rich guys in the group because they have to share resources. I had to study this because I was trying to figure out, am I the issue when it comes to tribal groups? I always ask myself, why do some people get along with other people? This guy just gets along with everyone. Everyone just always likes him. Friends really like him. He's genuinely interested in people. He was my roommate. He's still my roommate. He always feels like he doesn't get to speak. So now he speaks his mind. I found out friends' messages about him. Like he's always pushing his ideas onto me now. There's people who starting to not like it. The old version where people liked him, but he felt submissive, or the new version where he is speaking out. Now people don't like him because he's pushing his spiritual beliefs onto him. So now this is where you make the choice. Do you hang out with people who have similar values and you feel like you belong, or you change your behavior around them? So this is where I told you in game, you start changing yourself based on the girl. Emotional empathy, people don't know what that means. Empathy is also this, right? To me, empathy is just, hey, I know what I said offended you. I judged you too hard, but I also want to let you know these are my beliefs. And if you cross the boundary, I can't budge. But it's, with girls, if you show that frame, they usually like, oh my God, especially if they like you, they're like, oh man, it's so manly and attractive. Men got the huge argument because I was a vaccine bro and some guys weren't. But then you find out the truth comes out and there's still guys who believe that they're right. I was fighting my parents for a long time about them saying I was very selfish. My family said I was very selfish. I considered, because I want to be close with my family, I did genuinely have to change. They said I was very selfish. I was considerate of their emotions. And every time they attacked me, I felt like it was me against my family. I'm like, how can I be against my family? And that's when I had to change my behavior. In family, I don't try to be right. So when I fight with them, I'll say, I see your point. And I'm going to definitely consider it. And I'll try to change it. But then there's my cousins who don't like my lifestyle. I don't care. My cousins can judge me all they want. But then one thing that you also have to watch is, are you putting your belief system on them? Right? Okay. So this is where it seemed like you felt outside the tribe. Did you feel like you want to belong because you wanted to be friends with them? Or did you feel like you still got the job done? What was the purpose of the trip? What was the mission of this trip? If the mission of the trip was business purpose and school education, did you get the result you wanted? But then you didn't become friends with them. I always say, who cares? Because you got the mission done and you got it done, right? But then if you didn't get the mission done, now you got to think, but if you got the mission done, who cares? These people, they're not going to help you. So I know this sounds very Machiavellian, but this is where you have to ask yourself why I want their approval or some kind of validation from them. And this is the thing with women too. Like, why do you want the girl? Once you start figuring out, okay, what do I actually want from her? And it was mostly, and start realizing, oh, I just want her validation because I want her. And now I don't really like her. Their behavior is different. In the end, us as a group, we got what we had to do. And then these three people, I am just giving you suggestions on what I'm, because I had to reflect, why do I want validation from friends? I realized I was close with them because both of them saw me as an expert. They were students of mine and became close after they graduated, especially when they gave advice like, you look like you don't have a good life. That's not friendship. Friendship's accepting all aspects of my life. My friends, they don't get girls out. They're not getting laid, even though I talk to them. They're not focused on other stuff. So I said, it's all good, dude. Do your life. I don't judge you. They're not both jacked in fitness. One guy genuinely thought he didn't have to work out to get jacked. He used to work out all the time, but now he's like, yeah, I don't believe in putting in workout anymore. Sometimes you have to do an easier way to work out. You could get the same results, but you don't look like me. So I'm not going to take his advice. I respected it, but he doesn't look like me. When I look at his life, he's a very spiritual guy. He smokes, parties, does drugs, and pays for us to practice with girls. I don't agree with that, but there's a part of me that didn't want to listen to spiritual behavior. He was trying to put his beliefs on me. If you meditated more and focused on the trauma, you love me better. I just didn't see that. It should have came from a better frame though, because I did feel attacked by him sometimes when he gave me this advice. I should have found a better way for him to, you know what, I'll definitely listen to you. But I also shouldn't have asked him advice, because as friends, you ask each other advice and they always give advice based on what's working for them. But as friends, you can't come from that frame. As a coach, I give you advice because I am the expert. You want something I had, right? So you're actually coming from a egoless mind and trying to, but even if you remember our first few calls, you did have a very strong ego when it comes to dating. Once you emptied that cup, you let me fill it with my water. Now you're able to fill up with the rest of your water. I'm telling you this because I'm studying this. You got to make the other person feel like they're, and you got to make them feel good. But at some point, I'm like, wait, I had to let go of two of these friends. I'm like, why am I doing all? Because I remember I got up with one friend and I'm literally in my room for 4 hours studying this. Why did I do this? What happened? What could I have done better? He kicked me out of the apartment. I'm like, oh yeah, it worked. This guy had no benefit of at least trying to make this work because how could you kick someone out just because you're out of a fight? That was a power move. We fought till 3 a.m. He said, get out next morning. And I was like, damn, give me at least a day. That was just a dirty move for me. But to him, it's not dirty because he bought the house. We had 1 day left. I was going to check out, although we were supposed to go our separate ways on Monday, but he kicked out. We fought Saturday night and he wanted me to leave Sunday. I had to accept that. It was really hard for me to accept that, but oh, this guy really genuinely doesn't care about me. For him to kick me out like that, he didn't care about me at all. I felt very rejected from the tribe, but I was like, okay, this is normal. When he did kick me out, I had to understand this is not someone I'm friends with anymore. If you're going to pay for a house and then use it against me, that's not friendship. He's using something to have something against me. Did you get your job done? Did you do what you're supposed to do at this trip? Yeah. You said you couldn't bring a girl back because this guy was sleeping early. If you were my bro, I have a best friend who used to travel with me. I used to get more girls than we stayed in the same house because we didn't make a lot of money. I just quit my job. He was traveling with me. We were working as interns with DT. He would leave and stay at a 24-hour coffee shop. I would buy him a meal after. I felt so bad, but he was willing to leave the house. Some friends won't do that. There's people like, no, you do. I pay for the house too. Why would I leave? So those kind of friends, you have to watch what you say because you feel like you're going to piss them off. Then I realized, wait, that's not a good friend. It's a bro trip. This guy is not willing to leave his house because the apartment gave you room to bring that girl back. Is he someone you even want to be friends with? He gave you feedback, emotional empathy. You felt out of the tribe. You felt like they didn't laugh and joke with you or more emotional with you. Are they people worth giving up to change your behavior? Because that takes more effort too. Changing your behavior. If this is something happening everywhere in your life, where you feel like all your friends feel like they have to watch what you say. Every time you join a group of people, you seem like you're always the outlier. It seems like you don't know how to get well with others. Here's the funny thing. When you have power, right? When you get powerful like Putin, a lot of people start appeasing you. Imagine if you were the teacher. I'm assuming the teacher didn't really give. He would barely hang out with you guys. Exactly. The power move of the teacher who was an expert, a leader of the group. He was like, dude, I'm doing my own thing. This is where it gets interesting because you weren't a place where you were considered equal. So the cream always rises to the crop, right? Sometimes when you're the top dog, you're going to be looked down upon if everyone's average too. And now you have to ask yourself, because I remember when I started getting jacked, a lot of my friends were questioning my work ethic. Why are you working so hard to get jacked? Is that for validation? What? Maybe should I calm down all of them my workout? But I'm like, I don't want to look like them. All three of them are not ripped. Why do I have to change my behavior to look like them? That's something I have advised. To make them happy, they go out, they party. Why do I have to party? As you get into your 30s, you're going to realize you have to first figure out how to be your best friend. You have to ask yourself, why do you want validation or acceptance from them? Do you know the answer to that? At some point, you have to ask, when am I going to be the popular kid people want validation from? You ever watch Shark Tank? Mark Cuban and the other guy, the Ukrainian guy? I forgot his name. He said one time he was meeting Mark Cuban and he knew Mark Cuban was rich. So he said to Mark Cuban, "Thanks, man, why do you always dress like a slob? All the investors always dress nice, but why do you dress like a slob?" And he looks right at him, it's because I can. When there's a group of 20 people in suits and Mark Cuban was the only one in t-shirts, you realize that every other investor was trying to convince the other guy to work with them. Mark Cuban just sat there and the guy came to him. Not only he backed it up because he was a billionaire, the richest guy in the room. So people were going up to him, get his investment while every other investor was trying to convince a person to invest in that. That only works if you're confident in yourself and you back yourself up and you're your own best friend, that you don't really care about the validation of others. This is why they say success is on a lonely road, because at some point you have to be a warrior by yourself. If you look at every hero's journey, there's a Joseph Campbell book about this. There's a time when you're alone and you have to choose to be a hero. If you look at every superhero, they have a time of loneliness. Have you realized that? Every hero movie you watch, there's a time where he questions himself. I want everyone to like me. But if you're a hero, you're different. You're going to be the guy who saves people. But if you look at all the people who respect, like the movies, James Bond, they are always alone. So this is where you decide, are you okay with being alone? And it's a funny paradox because you're trying to get validation from women, but at the final level is when you don't need validation from them. Even if they come into your life or don't, you don't care, you know you're attracted. That's when you have gain. If you're a fat guy, slob, and you're like, yeah, but I'm just confident because I love who I am. I love eating Doritos. And okay, but then you want to have hot girls who don't like that. You can't convince someone who's hot and have a different lifestyle. It's like when you guys don't want to go to a nice restaurant. At the beginning, you're trying to convince them to like you. That's why I'm telling you guys to focus on Instagram to eventually make the girl chase you. This game is a lot easier. But the issue with women, especially beautiful, always want their validation. It's like trying to actually be rich. A lot of people do all this stuff to get rich, to be happy. But once they get all the money, they realize it would have been a lot easier if they were happy first. But you guys don't know how to be happy. That's why just get the money first. It's a lot faster than meditating for 10 years. That's why in game, just have a lot of, and then realize, oh, you got a lot of us. Does that make sense? Because then you focus on the right things. So who cares what these people think if they don't bring any benefits to your life? My West Point Academy, my freshman year, luckily they do this thing where they change your group. Freshman year, you go to a new squadron, a new team. By senior year, I became the leader of my team. When I walked past my freshman people, they looked at me. So I got voted in because people didn't know me when I got to a new squadron. They didn't know who I was. They didn't know who I was. So the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors voted for me to be leader. But my freshman team hated me. 3 seniors, I don't want you to graduate from school. I became a leader because I stopped caring what they think. Do you want to be a sheep among sheep or a wolf among sheep? There's not that, bro. Don't take my advice because I don't live your life. If you have to be a sheep, be a black sheep, don't get along with the sheep. All my friends, they're on jacked. So they sometimes don't understand what I live. When I got in the game, I really don't have a lot of friends. I started questioning my identity. Then I realized, who do I want to be? I want to be a leader. My dad and mom messaged me every day. They were doing cardio. My brother lost weight. Most of my friends see me, they start getting jacked. In the end, you're going to die alone. Even if you have a wife, you're going to die alone. When you have kids and a wife, you're the leader of the family. All of a sudden, they hang out, you are their family. Why? Because they have their own tribe. That when guys are alone, we want validation. The biggest thing is we don't know how to be by ourselves. Because imagine this, right? You went on this trip and you had enough money to be like, you know what? You start gaming and you meet friends in other places. And those 3 hang out with themselves and you get dates every night and do your own thing. And you come back from the trip and their feedback's like, I wish you hung out with the maybe they saw you with another group of friends when you had your free time. And you're not hanging with them, you did your own thing. But then they saw you were living a lifestyle. Imagine what their feedback then. I wish you were part of us. Right now, you're saying based on the survey, democracy, 3 people against 1, something's wrong with you. If they didn't have similar issues, it's like this. So the reason why I got in the fight with these 2 friends was like, literally, I went to a restaurant, wasn't healthy, so I didn't want to eat. They thought I couldn't afford it. Oh, bro, I could afford food in Bali, chill. They both thought they had more money than me subconsciously. But they thought the first thing I didn't want to eat because I couldn't buy them. That's the first judgment you came because I couldn't eat at a restaurant because I couldn't buy them. I already knew the mentality. I don't have enough money or financial success as that. That was hard for me to accept. First, I got hurt. You guys are better than me because you have more money. The first thing you thought I wasn't eating is because I couldn't afford it, not because I'm more shredded. I could have done that too. When someone doesn't want to eat in front of me or they're eating a chocolate cake, I'm not going to tell them, hey, bro, I'm sure you don't eat that cake because you look like cake. Imagine I said that, they'll get so pissed, right? I don't judge them. That's why I realize these aren't good friends. Because for you to judge someone, that means it's their problem. When this happened and I got in a fight with both of them, I was up in my room studying 4 hours how to appease them while they were in their rooms. They're both talking to each other. They didn't come up to see how I was while I was upstairs crying. I felt like a loser because I didn't feel accepted. I have my own emotional trauma to go through, but then at some point, you have to ask yourself, why are you doing this to change yourself or others? Because in the end, I always say this to many friends, and they don't get it. If we go to war and the world comes, who are the three people you would bring along who will help you survive the zombie apocalypse that will happen? Worst case, it did happen. Yeah, it's historical proof. I didn't believe it too, but that's what they did. So it depends on your sources. It depends on what kind of person you want to be. I know one thing for sure, Elon Musk, right now, he's the most hated man in America. 98% of media sources are negative about him. And I'm sure Elon Musk doesn't give, he doesn't care. Watch the Last Dance documentary. That was one of the deepest moments for me when I saw Michael Jordan cry. He said, if you don't want to be a champion, don't talk to me. He started crying because he wanted to belong too. Most people want to be like him. You have to find that balance. You have to figure out what you want. If you want to be liked, you have to learn how to do that. I don't want to waste any more time trying to appease my two friends. But split 2 weeks away from them, focusing on me. I haven't made any friends. I have no friends in Bangkok anymore. Most like crypto, they like all this other stuff. They like partying, getting tables. I don't want to do that. I saw these 4 white guys bonding together, and I realized I have no friends who want to work out with me every day. But then I found out you have 2 ways to go about this. So go fit in, make people want to fit in with you. That's why they say when you become famous, right? All of a sudden, people that were never want with you, they want to be with you. So that's why you have to find the right group of friends, right kind of relationships. So this is something you have to figure out on your own. If you get really good at game, you're going to stand out and be the black sheep among your friends. I was invited to a party. I was bringing the alcohol, and one of my closest friends told me that the birthday boy didn't want me. He thought I was weird, and I was just the girls. If we told people about the calls we do, people will judge us, right? But then look at Andrew Tate. He only has like his brother and his cousin that he hangs out with. He says, "Who gives a fuck?" So you got 2 ways: either become so full everyone wants to be like you, or try to be like everyone else. But I'm just gonna rephrase it. Daniel, how do I get these guys to like me? How do I get these 2 girls and guy to like me? But my frame right off the bat is, how do I get them to like me? And if they don't, I'm fine without them. That's what game is. Well, I want this girl to like me. Oh, she doesn't. What's the next one? It's not cockiness. It's understanding your identity as a man. It's very deep stuff. You have to do your own research and reflect on this and meditate. I'm not going to give any more advice because I am not an expert in relationships. I'm an expert in seducing women. That's why I don't have a girlfriend, because I don't know how to keep a girl who I want to accept all of me. My issue is I put up this image of this perfect guy, and when I have flaws, the girls see it and they're like, whoa. So now I need to figure out how to get girls to love all of me. I think I self-sabotage because I have to be perfect in front of women. There's girls who did love me, but I don't want the girls who love me too much. But I still want the validation of the girls who don't love me. So right now, I don't fight with my brother. I don't fight with my parents. I appease them all the time. I just say, okay, mom, you're right. Always appease them and learn how to work with family. That's why I think the best way for a guy to be happy is to create a family. Just get married and have kids. Every guy who has family, they're never unhappy and never care what others think. They always come home, love them. They always have kids, and their wife always loves them no matter what, and will always be on their side. The examples in my life, the TV shows, I became the black sheep. It was like, Danny's weird, bro. I saw her on the show, and then they found out the guy I fought with. The viewers were like, oh my God, Captain Kim's right. He said on the show, yeah, I got post nut clarity. And they all said after they saw that scene, even the girl, the main character, was like, man, she messaged me. She was like, oh, Danny, I didn't know this happened. And like, damn, it doesn't matter. Because right now, even the 2 friends who I got rejected by, I always say this, they always come back. If you stay true to your identity, they always come back. Even my parents work out every day now because of me. This is my personal life, my video game. In my video game, I want to be the hero. If you see this as a long game, spread it out, how you can win long term, a job to get better at it. But students who have an end, like there's another in JT's program, King Coach. He did this all year, went buck wild, invested all his money, then focused on other things. He got married within 2 years after meeting his girl that first year. So he met his girl during game 1 year, then didn't focus on game the next year, focused on other stuff. First, I was going to shut these friends up and be like, sure, we be rich, but I genuinely don't care about being rich. Money needs to an end. I don't want to put in too much effort, but money finds a way. But you want to make enough money to do what